Hey, Steve Vignante coming to you from my former home in North Brookfield, Massachusetts on May 18, 2024. And I had encephalitis back in August through now, and I'm recovering, but I'm not like I was. I'm kind of, I stumble around a bit. So anyway, it's time to sell some things. My house, my magazine collection, my research library, and yeah, the Funny Fairmont. And if you watch the video that comes with this video here, you'll see this car. We took this up to Burton Auto Wreck and drove it on public roads. It runs great. It's got a 5-speed manual with overdrive, 373 8.8-inch rear axle with traction lock, leaf springs in the back from a super stock Dart, no more axle hop like the Fox Mustangs have. This thing hauls butt, and it rips good power. And we'll go around to the front of the car. And this thing was born in California as a 6-cylinder automatic car, and I intentionally looked for a Fairmont sedan with the fixed B-pillar and a full door frame. The Futura is not my cup of interest because they remind me too much of the disco era, and I'll bring the picture around. Now this is a Falcon Futura, and that whole B-pillar right there. I mean, Bob Glidden made these things famous in Pro Stock in 1979-81, but this is what I wanted, a basic car. So I searched long and hard to find a Falcon or a Fairmont Post, which is what I did. So this was a clean car from California. I bought it, it was pretty nice. And this is way back when. That's when I bought it. It was nice and clean. People say, why'd you ruin a Fairmont? Well, it's a Fairmont. That's why, But so what I did is basically turn it into a what-if factory FX car, match racer, as if like 1965 was done in the 1980s, And so under the hood of this thing is kind of special. This is a Ford 4.6 liter 4-valve, 4-cam engine from a Mach 1 Mustang. This is actually from Ford, their dyno room. I had one engine that blew up, and they sent me another replacement, very nice of them. And this is DC&O 8-stack electronic fuel injection. A little bit of mold on here. Everything's moldy around here. Anyway, but this thing runs perfectly. And these are the magnesium valve covers. I stripped off the coating so they look a little bit more austere. And it's a great example of less is more. And up front, the original McPherson struts and independent suspension have given way to leaf springs and a beam axle in classic match race fashion. And I even welded up these bars here, the subframe up front, just square and round tube. And the headers are homemade. I did those. I got a bunch of J-bands from Summit Racing, and then sliced and diced and thought and measured and did it up. And it's just a funny little monster. And the exhaust headers come out underneath the rocker panels, and they can be uncorked. And it's a fun, raucous little creature. Let me fire it up for you. So that's the beauty of electronic fuel injection and the 21st century electronics. It just fires right up. And this thing will sit in mass pike traffic, bumper and bumper, doesn't overheat. It's got a cool radiator, a great radiator actually. So it's a lot of fun. And the time has come to sell it. I've done 3 altered wheelbase cars. First was the Wilshire Shaker Chevy Nova. The second one was the Rampage 63 Dodge Dart with the Max Wedge motor. And I wanted to do a Ford, which is where this car would have come in if I didn't get encephalitis and basically have to reboot. So again, this car is, I'll sell it. I bought $27,000 into it. I don't expect to get that for it. It's not pretty, but it's a very rust-free California car. There's a lot of expensive stuff on this, $6,500 for the DC&O Kinsler style electronic fuel injection, and $6,000 for the Ford crate motor that I got from Ford Engineering, because the first one blew up and they sent me another one. Jesse Kershaw at Ford hooked me up, and it wasn't a warranty claim, but something was wrong with that first motor. It was a crate engine, and it puked, so the timing chain broke. This is all fresh stuff. It's ready to go. So anyway, it has a cool fiberglass hood with a teardrop blister fiberglass right there. It's just like a Phil Bonner's car with the slots cut into it for the hillboards to pop through. So it's a fun car. And beyond that, I mean, the front axles would move forward about 4 inches. It has magnesium torque thrust. These are reproductions from Ray Franklin's vintage engineering, and Willwood disc brakes up front. And great looking car. And I love the magnesium wheels. These are not to be confused with American Racing torque thrustees or rockets. These are true clones of the original the magnesium torque thrust. And these are made by Vintage Engineering in California by Ray Franklin. And these are $700 a piece. And this is how I built this car. Fiberglass front bumper, lightened it up, and I made a chin spoiler. I even painted Ford "What's Up, Doc," like dual overhead cam, like, you know, Bugs Bunny, "What's up, Doc?" And this thing runs hot. I would say it probably runs a 13.9, you know, not 13.9. I would say this is probably about a 1280 car, something like that, on a quarter mile. So it runs well. No roll bar, no roll cage, don't need that stuff on a street race, you know, but it's also something I never got around to. So anyway, it's a fun car, and it kind of looks like a Hemi, but it's not. If you take a peek here, the spark plug tubes go down inside, right there, and it has an exotic look, like a 427 Camry or a Boss 429, you choose. And the reason why I use this engine, because of its exotic looks. And again, this thing runs really nice, as proven right there, it fires up. So anyway, if you want to see this car in action, Super Shane Richardson from High Octane Shane, he will link in a video of us taking this thing to Bernardston Auto Wrecking, just for a cruise out in the countryside. And you can see this thing in action, power shifting first and second, and, you know, and the engine rocking like that when I dump the clutch. And it's a functional, fun automobile. Now, what do I want for it? That's the question. I've got 27,000 in this. I don't expect to get that back from it. I would say somewhere in the teens, like that. And how do you reach out to me? Well, I guess you can email me at hemimagneto@aol.com, or see the link or the email address. And again, it's hemimagneto@aol.com, like Hemi Magneto, one word, like a funny car ignition system, hemimagneto@aol.com. And just say, you know, want to talk about the Fairmont, the Funny Fairmont. So anyway, and this is also, by the way, you know, I like to document things. This is the book right here, Welcome to Project Ford Charger. I started this thing back in 2005. Can you imagine that? So everything I did to this thing was documented in this book. Radio antenna, delete button, all this stuff. Total expense is 73, and this is back in 05, before the big engine came in. But yeah, it's just, you know, 12,000 here when I was just getting started with the whole thing. 21,144 aluminum ram tubes. So I just, you know, I wrote down all the stuff here. And a 21,932, and then so it was a lot of fun. I've had my fun with this car, and maybe it's time for somebody else to have some too. And this is the Altered Wheelbase book that I wrote, and the third chapter is about the building of this Funny Fairmont. So a copy of this comes with the Funny Fairmont if you're so inclined. And if you want to learn more, again, hemimagneto@aol.com, and I'll email back to you, and we'll talk about what to do next with the car. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out the High Octane Classics muscle car walkarounds. Pretty much every day or several times a week we do new ones. I won't be back in the junkyard anytime too soon, because I can barely walk. I'm staggering, which I can walk, but it could be worse. But going into the junkyard with a chainsaw and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be a while before I can do that again. But in the meantime, I'm going to sell my stuff, and my loss is your gain.